I was for the Iraq invasion, but I'm against the Cuban embargo. I've supported capital punishment, but I think that there's too much fighting in hockey. I was for profiling at airports post 9/11 and for using harsh interrogation methods to gain intel from terrorists. All pretty conservative stuff, right? On the other hand, I think pot and prostitution should both be legal. I want to end the SAT or Scholastic Aptitude Test, but I think we should continue to teach cursive writing. I'm for breaking up my state's monopoly on the sale of alcohol, and I'd like to see the U.S. Treasury discontinue manufacture of the copper penny. Those are all my opinions, or they were at one time expressed in newspaper columns. Maybe right now I should be saying, I'm Michael Smerconish and I approve this message. Hard to classify, don't you think? Which explains the title of my new book out next week, Clowns to the Left of Me, Jokers to the Right, American Life in Columns, with an introduction by David Axelrod and a blurb from Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. By the way, I'm not making a penny, copper or otherwise, on the project. All my proceeds are going to benefit the Children's Crisis Treatment Center here in Philadelphia, which provides social services to kids who are the victims of trauma. And who better to dig deep into what it's all about than my fellow centrist compatriot and newly minted CNN primetime anchor Chris Cuomo, who launches Cuomo Primetime, 9 p.m. Eastern on June the 4th. We spoke earlier.
Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. This may be one of the most perfect titles for what we're living right now and for your role in it ever.
Yeah, I love it. It's what I use on my SiriusXM radio program as the theme song. So I was thrilled that we were able to get permission to use it for the book.
So let's test some of the theories that are in this for them, right? Because people, if they listen to you, they love you, but they may not know the whole thing. So you were in love with Reagan.
True.
You worked for Bush 1. You're a Republican. True or true?
True, absolutely true.
So that you're admitting you're a Republican.
I'm admitting that I was a Republican.
I said you are a Republican. You said yes.
No, I wasn't listening closely enough.
Well,
I screwed up already.
So tell them how you got to where you are.
Well, I grew up in a Republican household. I came of age in the Reagan 80s. When I registered to vote when I turned 18 in 1980, there was no question as to which party I would join. I would join the Republican Party. And for 30 years, I was not only a loyal Republican voter, but very active in the party. And I had unique experiences at all levels that culminated when I was 29 in being appointed to a sub-cabinet level position in Papa Bush, Bush 41's administration. And Papa Bush was my kind of a Republican. If Papa Bush and those of his ilk were still running the Republican Party, I'd still be a Republican. But by 2010, I'd had enough. Barack Obama was the first Democratic presidential candidate for whom I ever voted. I'd voted for plenty of Ds, but that was the break point. It's a long story told in the book, but it was really largely over foreign policy that I got off the GOP train because I didn't believe we were any longer hunting those responsible for September 11.
So you wrote articles over 15 years, right? And you put them into categories. I think, what is it? Politics, profiles, life, and misc. Misc is always the best category, by the way, miscellaneous. But what you do after each of them is you think about where your head would be today on the same topic. And that is great value, and a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, thank you.
And they don't do it because they're afraid. Because they don't want people to think, oh, what I said then was wrong, or this, or, you know, where's my continuity, my consistency? And you did it right out of the box. You wrote a piece about hard work, you know, very Reagan-era value. Hard work, as long as you work hard, you'll be fine. That's not as true as it used to be. And you reflect that in your afterward. How so?
So here's the funny thing. I published, by my count, 1,047 columns between 2001 and 2016. As I combed through the Daily News and Philadelphia Inquirer archives, I found a column from 1985 that I forgot I'd published. Chris, I was in law school.
Well, you were first year.
First year in law school,
it was an
end of my
opinion
first
piece.
year. An opinion piece, right, about America being the land of opportunity. Now, I still believe that America is a land of opportunity, but that luck has a great deal to do with it. And some get dealt a bad hand from which they never recover. And so, yeah, that's a great example of where when I dusted that baby off, of course I wanted to publish it again, but with the reflections of someone who's now 56 years old and taking a look at what I now view of life. I have no problem calling myself out and admitting the many instances where I was wrong in this book.
Well, you evolve also. You know, times change, situations change, principles remain the same for people like you anyway, if they were hard set to begin with. The idea of when you started this journey, just after 9/11.
Right.
What an interesting time to come into the perspective business.
True. And the very first column that I published as a columnist is one that advocates Rudy Giuliani, a name very familiar to you. You just interviewed him again last week. I advocate that he's the appropriate choice to be the nation's first Secretary of Homeland Security. That's how I used my first 700-word column. By the way, in retrospect, I was wrong.
Why?
Tom Ridge, having nothing to do with his representation of the president, but Tom Ridge, who was the nation's first secretary, tremendous, hell of a guy, did a great job.
So you started off in this business. You've done politics. You've run for office.
I have. When I was in law school, I ran for the state legislature.
Would you do it again?
I've got a lot of kids I'm educating.
It's not a no. I'd like a yes or no, if you don't mind.
What is this, Cuomo Live?
That's right.
You bring me back and grill me. It's a maybe.
Why? You're right. So good. So you're not closed off.
No, I'm not closed
I
off.
push you on that because what a rare commodity you are. Somebody who takes so much time to understand things here, but also here, and have dealt with the wins and losses down there, right? That's the trifecta of how you come into your own as an adult. Your head, your heart, and your gumption, let's just say, to be anatomically neutral about it. You have gone through all those phases. You know who you are. You know what you're about. And that's why you believe the things that you do. And that's why you argue for and against what you do. Rare qualities in leaders these days on the elected side.
Well, we don't reward people who are evidentiary thinkers and independent in their view. I just don't subscribe, and I watch enough of Chris Cuomo to know that we're kindred spirits in this regard. I don't subscribe to those faux ideological boxes, all liberal, progressive, or all conservative. It's not how I view the world. It's not how people that I interact with view the world.
Then why do people like that keep getting elected?
Because passion rules. It rules the airwaves, much as I hate to admit it, in the world in which we live. And consequently, the stranglehold that many of those who stir the pot for a living have over elected officials and primary voters, I think has distorted the entire process for the country.
Smerconish family comes from coal country.
Right.
In terms of the immigrant process, do you think that your family would have the same success if they came to the country now as they did back then?
I would hope so.
Hard-fought success, by the way. No easy path. You'll read it in the book. But what I'm saying is,
right.
What do you think?
I think that we were very fortunate. I think that, my father's side of the family is from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. My mother's side of the family from the former Yugoslavia. Columns that I've written that are in the book do talk about those roots. I'm fortunate in that I've been blessed not only with the right area to grow up. I think that the Philadelphia suburbs were a perfect match for me, but also that somewhere in this DNA that has so many shortcomings is a pretty good work ethic.
Jokers to the right, clowns to the left. Biased? Nobody's as afraid of jokers as they are about clowns.
No, I'm casting equal aspersions on each. Clowns and jokers, in my view, are synonyms for this book title.
So let me ask you something, because, this is the blessing and the curse. The blessing with you is that you look at things from both sides. And now, because there are very few generalists, there are very few shows like ours where you bring on both sides, they come on and you go at it. They don't want that. It's frustrating. Don't make me think about why I believe what I believe. It's already ingrained. I'm done with this. And you can't be open to the other side if you're in that mindset. It's a problem.
I think that people who hold views that are independent and not ideologically tethered have allowed themselves to be cast as being weak or as in lacking conviction. I have plenty of conviction on a whole variety of issues. I know you do as well. They just don't fit neatly into one side or the other of an ideological spectrum.
When's the next book come out?
I think this is it.
What?
I think this is it.
No, this is the only book you have in you?
No. This is the only one that matters to me now. How's that?
Let me tell you something. For you to put this kind of work in this.
Chris, I recorded every column and afterward for Audible.com. That was perhaps the hardest part of all. And if that outtake reel should ever see the light of day, I'm done.
Listen, you put a lot of work into it because you're doing it for two causes that mean so much to you. One, public dialogue, of having people understand ideas and chew on them.
It's true.
And then you're helping kids in the worst kind of battle. What could be better than that? Michael Smerconish.
Thank you, man.
You
Thank
are
you for
a mentor
everything.
and you're a
And
mensch.
by the way, good luck.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
We
I will
need
need
you.
it.
The nation needs you in prime time.
June 1st.
Yeah.
Clowns to the left of me, like right now. Jokers to the right.
Wait a minute. That would be you, the clown.
Yeah, I know.
Me, the joker.
That's right.
Okay.